You're listening to the Jan Price Show, all about movies, and today my guest is award-winning entertainment journalist and TCM Turner Classic Movies host, and my friend Dave Karger. Welcome back to the show, Dave.
Thanks, Jan. Great to see you.
You too. I always love our once a year interview that we do around the Oscar time, and we have lots to cover today. I want to start with Santa Barbara International Film Festival's Virtuoso Awards, which you have hosted. I think this is your 15th year. Is that correct?
That's right.
How exciting!
Yeah, so this year, our Virtuoso Awards, which every year honor a group of eight or so actors and actresses who have had breakout performances in the past year. We're doing it on Super Bowl Sunday, February 9th. And normally I would say to all your listeners, come out and join us and get a ticket. It's sold out. So there's no promoting I can possibly do other than just to say we're very excited about it. And the reason we're sold out is because two of our eight honorees are Ariana Grande and Selena Gomez. So I think as soon as the two of them got announced, along with Carlos Sofia Gascon from Emilia Perez and Mikey Madison from Honora, as well as Kieran Culkin and some other great actors, people flocked to the website, and we are completely sold out. So I've been begging and pleading with the film festival to get some of my friends in, and I'm so looking forward to it. It's going to be a really great night. It's always got a great spirit and vibe to it, and it's fun because, as you know, since you've been there many times, I interview each of the eight honorees individually, and then I bring them all out together for a group interview, which usually ends up being pretty fun. So it was great to put the list together along with Roger Durling, who heads up the Santa Barbara Film Festival. And he and I started at Telluride Film Festival over Labor Day and started seeing things like Honora and um, Emilia Perez and A Real Pain, Sing Sing. And that's how we put the list together. So it's always a highlight of the year for me.
It's the highlight of the film festival, as far as I'm concerned. I want, and I'm not saying this to you because you're my friend. I'm saying it to you because it's been said over and over again. It is. That's there's no. Uh, it, the fact that it's sold out is not surprising because it is one of everyone's favorite events at the festival, and it's because of you, Dave, because you do such and a really, and I'm not saying this again because you're my friend. I'm saying it because it's true. It's such a really good, in-depth interviews, but fun interviews. They're different. They're not the standard interviews. They are each time, and each person that you interview is completely unique, and you have this ability to bring out things in each one of these wonderful stars that not everybody has that ability to do. And you do because of your warmth and your genuineness and your caring about them. It's not about you, it's about them. And that comes through so. It's so strong when you do these, do the Virtuoso Awards, and we absolutely love them. And I'm so excited this year because the lineup is really, really, really good. You're right; it's a phenomenal lineup.
Well, thank you very much for those kind words. I really appreciate it. I mean, the way I look at these interviews, because they do happen near the end of the award season, just a couple weeks before the Oscars every year, I look at it almost like the victory lap for these people. They've been promoting these films for, in some cases, over a year. I mean, Sing Sing, Clarence Macklin, one of our Virtuoso honorees, that movie premiered at the Toronto Film Festival a year and a half ago.
Really, that long ago. And that was one of my favorite films. I loved Sing Sing. It just touched my heart and my soul so much, and it stayed with me for such a long time. And I'm so happy and excited that Clarence Macklin is getting his due and people are recognizing him. Why don't you tell the audience who he is? Because not everybody has seen Sing Sing and knows that much about Clarence.
Sing Sing is a movie based in truth that takes place at the Sing Sing prison in New York, actually about 10 minutes from where I grew up. And in Sing Sing prison, there's a group of inmates who put on theatrical productions for people in the community, for people, at the institution. And so a Greg Guidar, the filmmaker, he made this film. It stars Coleman Domingo, who's definitely going to be Oscar nominated for this.
Love him, love him, love him.
And Clarence Macklin, who's been kind of the breakout supporting actor from this movie, is himself a former inmate at Sing Sing prison. He was incarcerated, which he will talk about. I've met him and he talks about it very openly. For 17 years, he was there for robbery. He tried to follow this creative spark that he had, and he performed in some of these productions. So in the movie Sing Sing, he basically plays a version of himself going through this. And I think it was very cathartic for him. And that's what I love about this Virtuosos thing, is because here we have Clarence Macklin, who, to your point, 99% of people don't know who he is. And then right before or after him, we'll have Selena Gomez and Ariana Grande, two of the most followed, people on social media in the world. I love that about this event.
Yes.
So we have Kieran Culkin, who's definitely, I think he's going to win an Oscar. And then we have someone like Mikey Madison from Honora, which is my personal favorite movie of the year. And, she'll be nominated for an Oscar. I'm sure of it. We should tell people, I don't know when you're running this. We're talking before the nominations.
We're talking before the nominations. Just let everybody know they're coming out next week. We're recording. This is going to run February 1st. This show is going to run. So the nominees will already have been announced. Just a little disclaimer there.
But yeah, so that's going to be great with Virtuosos, because I do think at the very least we'll have 5 Oscar nominees on that Virtuoso stage, because it's February 1st now. Fine. I guarantee Carla Gascon was nominated. I guarantee Mikey Madison was nominated. I guarantee Ariana Grande was nominated. And I guarantee Kieran Culkin was nominated. And I hope that either Clarence Macklin or Selena Gomez will get in there as well. So anyway, that's great. And that makes it a lot of fun for these people, because, they're going through this very exciting moment in their lives.
The one that I think I'm most excited about seeing, and I want to see all of them, obviously, is Carla Sofia Gascon.
Yeah, she's a piece of work.
Yeah.
And for people who don't know her, she's the title character of Emilia Perez, which is on Netflix and is going to be a big Oscar player all around, and stands to become the first trans acting Oscar nominee ever, which is so exciting.
Very exciting.
I mean, obviously, Elliot Page was nominated for Juno, but this was before, that was before his transition. So Carla is a fascinating person. I've gotten to talk to her a couple times.
Have you?
She's a big personality, and she loves all this attention. She's having the time of her life, and I think she'll be a hoot.
I think she will be a hoot too. Definitely think she's so good in this movie. I loved Emilia Perez. And I have to tell you, it wasn't, when I read about it, I was like, I'm not too sure. I'll definitely go see it, because I love to go see everything. I love movies. And we missed it. Actually, it came here and it left. And I missed it the first time around. And fortunately, Santa Barbara International Film Festival and the Riviera Theater brought it back. And so I said to my girlfriend, okay, we missed it. We tried to see it and we just didn't. And I said, okay, now we got to go see it. So we thought the morning of Christmas Eve, we went to the first screening, and we both just sat there and afterwards and went like, wow, that was just really so unique, so creative, so different, so well done. Selena Gomez she's just so different than what we've seen her in the past. And I agree with you. She should be nominated. But obviously Zoe Saldana, who's also exquisite in this film. And I loved Carla Sofia Gascon. I just adored her in this film. So, yeah.
The different colors that she portrays in this character, it's an astonishing performance. And then to realize as you're watching it that she's playing Emilia Perez as a trans woman, but she's also playing the cisgender male character at the beginning of the movie before the transition, which is just astonishing.
I know. And my girlfriend asked me that. And I said, I think it was her playing him. I'm pretty sure it was. And we went through that discussion, whether it was or not. Listen, as much as I love Netflix, and I do love Netflix and all of the streaming services, this film, if you get a chance to see it on the big screen, you should go see it on the big screen. And Santa Barbara International Film Festival has opened a brand new theater with 5 screens, the Santa Barbara Film Center, which just opened in November, and that's where we saw it. And I think it's still playing, but go see it if you can on the big screen. If you can't, definitely watch it on Netflix. No question about it. Definitely. I just think always every movie is enriched by seeing it with an audience. It changes the perspective.
Yeah, I agree. And the other one that, of course, I'm telling everybody to see in a theater is The Brutalist.
Oh,
Because,
Can't wait to see it. I've missed it, but I do can't wait to see it.
yeah, and I was skeptical, not skeptical. I knew it was going to be a powerful film, but I was kind of not dreading it, but almost dreading it because it was 3.5 hours. That's what you're always told. It's 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours.
But what it really is essentially a double feature of two not very long movies. It plays for an hour and 40 minutes, then there's a 15-minute intermission built in, and then it plays for another hour and 40 minutes. So you really, once I realized that, I thought, oh, that I can handle, right? So you have kind of this act one, you have 15 minutes to go take a break, and then you have this act two. But I'm so glad that I saw that in a proper theater. The screening that I went to was at a movie theater in Manhattan. And I'm so glad I wasn't trying to watch that at home, because then I'm sure
Yeah.
you'll be pausing it and looking at your phone. You don't want to do any of that. You really
No,
want to
no,
have.
no, no, no.
and that's the problem with seeing him at home. I'm sorry. But when I go to watch a movie, at night, I turn off the lights and make it look like a movie theater. And I just don't want to, I turn the phone around so I don't see it blinking about anything so I can focus on the film. But, other times if it's earlier in the day and I get up, blah, blah, blah. And it just changes your whole perspective of the film. This is not playing here right now. I can't wait for it to playing in Santa Barbara. And the minute it does, I will be first in line to go get a ticket because I can't wait to see it because I love anything to do with World War II and the Holocaust and all of that. And it just looked absolutely fascinating. But I agree. One of the things, though, I loved is that they put the intermission in this, where there's so many movies that are coming out that are long movies, and a lot of people complain. They go, "Oh, I don't really want to go sit for a movie." Now, Oppenheimer for me, I saw a couple of times, like two, 3 times, I think, and I was riveted each time and didn't even think about the time of how long that film was. Never looked at my watch. Didn't really care. So if the movie is doing its job, that's the way it should be. We shouldn't be paying attention to how long the movie is.
In this day and age, when people go to the movie theaters and have like a full meal while they're eating, while they're watching the movie, which is fine, just nature calls. I mean, whenever I'm in a movie theater, I never bring a drink in or anything because I don't want to have to run out. So
No,
that's
me
why I
either.
was grateful for the intermission.
And that one. But I think to go back is that we should have more movies that, if they are going to be long, do an intermission.
I know.
The Irishman would have been, beneficial had it had an intermission in there somewhere. I mean, there are some long movies that would be beneficial if they built in, because look at Gone with the Wind. One of my all-time top movies that I love. It still stands up today. Had an intermission, and Lawrence of Arabia and all the longer movies, always had intermission. So it's good to bring that back.
Well, I mean, I wonder because I do think The Brutalist has a decent shot to win Best Picture. Be
That's what
interested
I've
to
heard.
see if it does win, if other longer movies follow suit with that format. I will tell you though, real quick, I was surprised at how little The Brutalist is actually about the Holocaust. It's about a Holocaust survivor,
Survivor,
but
right?
very little of the movie itself is about that. I mean, obviously it speaks to his experience and it's in his mind, but it's not really what the movie is about. It's about after this man has moved to the United States. But it's very, very well done. And Felicity Jones, Guy Pearce, and Adrian Brody, all phenomenal.
What did you think of the director's speech at the Golden Globes?
Oh, where he basically said filmmakers should be able to do whatever they want. It's interesting because there's a guy that I started my career as the assistant at Entertainment Weekly for a guy named Mark Harris. And Mark Harris at the time was the movies editor of Entertainment Weekly. He's since gone on to become one of the foremost book writers about books.
I had Mark on my show this past year.
I
Love
started
him. Go on, but go on.
when I was 22 years old. I was his assistant for 2 years, and I
No idea.
learned so much from him. And I love, he always writes the most brilliant things on Blue Sky. He used to be on Twitter. Now he's really on Blue Sky.
I'm
But
on Blue Sky too.
yeah, he said he found
Left the X a
it,
long time ago.
yeah. He said he found it really interesting that Demi Moore got up at the Golden Globes and basically said, "Wow, it's been decades, and this is the first time I've ever won anything for acting." And then he cited Richard Gadd, the Baby Reindeer creator, and Brady Corbet, the director of The Brutalist, for basically saying we should be able to do what we want. So I think there's a little bit of male privilege going on there for sure. But listen, when you're as talented and when you see The Brutalist, when you see how talented of a filmmaker Brady Corbet is, some these artistic guys, auteurs, if you will, they're so good that they should be able to do what they want without much interference.
I agree. I mean, listen, Christopher Nolan can probably do whatever the heck he wants, right? And he does. And that's why we love Christopher Nolan and what he does. I've never seen a bad Christopher Nolan film in my life. I think he's brilliant, and I love watching his movies. And if he's the director, I'm going. But and there are directors like that we follow. That it's their vision. It's their vision with the screenwriter, and they should be able to create that vision the way they see it and want to express it out into the world. And we've read lots of books on movies and past moguls, and and you talk about it on Turner Classic Movies all the time. How Louis B. Mayer and many others got involved in the movie process, and some of the directors were able to stand firm and make the movie they really want to make. So it's always about money. We all know that too. Who else are you? I mean, Mickey Madison, very interesting actress. And you said it's one of your favorite films. So talk about that. Talk about Mickey Madison a little bit.
It's actually Mike.
Mikey? Is it Mikey? I'm sorry. Mikey Madison.
Yeah. She's great. And Honora to me is the best movie of the year, with Emilia Perez and Conclave and A Complete Unknown close behind. But
I'm going to stop you right now. Why was Honora one of your favorite films of the year?
I went into Honora, I saw it this summer. It had already played Cannes, but it hadn't yet played Telluride or Toronto, and I got to see it this summer. I knew nothing about it, very little, and I just found myself thrilled by it and surprised by it in such an interesting way. And I was really taken with Mikey Madison's performance. I had never heard of her. I didn't watch the sitcom she was on, which was called Better Things, I believe, with Pamela Adlon. So I didn't know who she was. And I just from the very first few minutes of Honora, where the camera is following her through the club that she works at, and just watching her interact with all of these clients and potential clients, I just felt so real to me as someone who's never been to a place like that and
right.
not exactly looking for that in my life for many reasons. I just found myself really enthralled by it. And then it took me places where I just didn't think it was going to go. And then the whole second half turns really crazy with this almost like chase that's going on. And then you have this other actor in it, Yura Borisov, who I guarantee by this time has now become an Oscar nominee. And he doesn't even show up until halfway through the movie. And his character was really surprising and breaks all the stereotypes of like a typical thug. And then that last scene of the movie, I'm not going to say much about it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it has a final scene that is such a knockout. And I just remember seeing the last scene. It's two characters in a car. And I thought, wow, this is a movie that really was audacious and was just in control and knew what it wanted to be the entire time. And it just was a home run for me.
Interesting. I'm going to tell you, it was my least favorite movie of this year.
And you're not alone.
And that last scene, I have a different perspective on it. So, so it's interesting. Yeah, I know. I know it has a lot of fans and people really loved it, and I came out going no. And it was interesting how many of my friends did love it, and then there were other people. Yeah, so you're right. People are sort of in the torn on this one a little bit, and it's interesting to. I have lots of female friends who really loved it. Obviously, male friends who loved it. So I find it. That's why I wanted to know why you loved it. Maybe I need to go back and see it again. I don't know.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Jan, I at this point, again, we're talking in the middle of January. I don't necessarily see that movie winning any Oscars. I don't think
No.
it's going to win anything, but I do think it's, by the time this conversation comes out, I do think it will have gotten, eight or so nominations, but I don't think it's going to win anything. But I'm really glad that Sean Baker, who's been an interesting filmmaker for a very
Right.
long time with movies like Tangerine and Red Rocket and The Florida Project, that this has been a breakthrough of sorts for him because he's great.
It has been, and he has been a unique filmmaker for sure. I think this year is a toss up on everything. There's no shoe in. I mean, last year we kind of felt Oppenheimer was going to, win as many awards as it did. This year, it's all over the place and it's anyone's game.
I agree.
Right.
I do think the supporting categories with Kieran Culkin and Zoe Saldana definitely seem like you've got true front runners there.
Right, 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 right. Since they both won Golden Globes too.
Yeah, but best picture, best actress, best director, best actor, sure. Several top contenders in all of those categories. So that's great. That's going to make it a
It is. It makes it exciting. I mean, Demi, I think she has a good shot at this one, and that's kind of exciting. I mean, everybody loved her speech, at the Golden Globes. That we were all crying, and I did enjoy the substance. I have to that one I did really thought was very interesting and fascinating. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I think Adrian Brody might have an opportunity again to pick up a second Oscar for his role. So but it is going to be fascinating to see what happens this year, and it's going to be an exciting Oscars, I think, because of that for sure. It really is. So, and you have Ariana Grande. Are you going to have to ask her to sing?
I'm hoping she'll do a little something.
I hope so too. I loved Wicked. Loved it. I got a chance to meet John Shu afterwards. After they screened it here at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival Riviera Theater, where they bring in all these wonderful movies throughout the year and bring in the directors and sometimes the stars and production designers and many of the people that are involved in making movies afterwards for wonderful Q&As. And it's such a treasure to have that here in Santa Barbara. We're so blessed. And but John, I was gobsmacked. I have to say, visually, it was just unbelievable. I mean, if it doesn't win for best costumes and production design, well, although there are other good production, Nosferatu, how do you say that? Nosferatu. I thought that production design was also exquisite, really exquisite. And that's not my type of movie. And I, again, enjoyed it. So, it would be one of those movies I'd probably stay away from. And then once I saw it, I went, oh, this is really a beautiful, fascinating film also. And well done, well cast, well acted. But but the production design for Wicked, obviously the costumes, bar none. So it's going to be real interesting this year. And I don't know, because there's going to be part 2 of Wicked, whether that might affect how the Oscars go for it this year.
Right. I mean, with the Lord of the Rings, they really didn't crown it until the last movie. I mean, I don't think Wicked's going to be as big of an Oscar player as far as wins as Lord of the Rings was. And of course, it just depends on how the second film turns out. But yeah, I agree with you. I would love to see it win some of those technical categories because it's not going to win for best picture.
No, unfortunately not. We always tend to go with dramas, generally speaking. Well, before we go, let's spend a little time on 31 Days of Oscars on TCM this year. What is the theme?
So for people who are not aware, on TCM every year we do this series called 31 Days of Oscar, where for 31 days we show nothing but Oscar-winning and Oscar-nominated movies, 24 hours a day, round the clock. As always, no commercials on TCM. And it's always fun to see how our programming team decides to fashion this and format it each year. So this year they've done something really interesting, which is that for prime time, so starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, every night from February 1st till March 3rd, the primetime movies will be movies that feature Oscar winning or Oscar nominated performances by actors and actresses. And each night is a different character type. So one night it's actors and actresses who were nominated for playing criminals. One night it's actresses who were playing moms. One night it's people who are playing boxers. One night it's kids who were nominated. So it's all grouped together by the type of character that the actors and actresses were playing. And what's cool about this, I mentioned boxers. So on February 12th, we're going to show a triple feature of The Champ, where Wallace Beery won Best Actor, and then The Fighter, a more recent film with Christian Bale where he won, and then Raging Bull, where
Oh,
De Niro won. So you're seeing film history, you're
yeah,
from the 1930s to the 2010s to the 1980s, back to back to back,
love
and
it.
terrific performances.
Love
Another night that I like is on February 16th. It's actors and actresses who were nominated or won for playing New Yorkers. So it starts with West Side Story. It goes to Annie Hall. It
it.
goes to Working Girl, which we've never shown on TCM
Really,
before,
and I love Working Girl. It's one of my faves.
and then The Apartment. So I love the way that they've done it this year. And then during the daytime, it's what we usually do, which is by category. So during the day, it's movies that were nominated for art direction, movies that were nominated for best director. And then all weekend long during the day, it's movies that were nominated or won for best picture. So it's a lot of different themes going on at once, but the crux of it is this character type thing that we're doing every night in prime time. So it starts on February 1st. It goes all the way till March 3rd, which is the day after the Oscar ceremony. So you can really get even more excited for this year's Oscars by kind of leading up to it with all the Oscar nominated movies on TCM.
Well, everybody tune in to Turner Classic Movies for 31 Days of Oscar. It's one of our favorite months of the year with Turner Classic Movies. I love that whole series. And even though Virtuoso Awards are sold out, there are still tickets available for the Santa Barbara International Film Festival. So go online to SBIFF.org, and there's plenty of tickets to buy for fabulous films that'll be screening and tributes that will be going on. We have Angelina Jolie this year, Ray Fiennes. I mean, the list goes on and on and on about the tributes they'll be doing this year. So, oh, Dave, it's always, always, always such a pleasure having you on the show. It's my favorite interview that I do every year, and I thank you so much for graciously giving me the time so we could do this today. So, thank you so much.
Great to see you, Jane, and I'll run into you in Santa Barbara.
I'll see you in Santa Barbara, and I'll see you at TCM Film Festival in April. Take care. Have a great day. Bye bye.